My name is Axel Klimek. I'm the Managing Director of the Center for Sustainability Transformation. I'm a coach and OD consultant. Let me welcome you to the fourth episode of our series of little videos about the human side of change. In this video, we will be focusing on appreciation. Appreciation wins, we will call it. If you remember, in the last videos, we were focusing on mindset, how a mindset determines what and how we perceive, what kind of actions we choose, and definitely what kind of outcome we will create. And we were using that in example of two people, we called them Divya and Frank. They are responsible for a change process, fully digital. And this change process is like a mountain they need to reach. And their personal mindset determines how they look at the mountain, what they see when they're looking at the mountain. We also need to understand the mindset of the boss and the boss's boss. What we very often see is that in an organization, when you have people who are responsible for a change process, there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of emphasis on the logic behind the change. But there's not so much emphasis on creating a growth mindset. And let me give you a little example of how appreciation creates a growth mindset. And this is not an example coming from a business context, but it's a private example. About 6-7 years ago, my little daughter was coming to me and asking for help. She needed to learn multiplication from 1 to 10. So I started asking her questions. How much is 5 multiplied with 5? And we continued. And somehow, without choosing, I started focusing on the more difficult ones. So I continued, what is 6 multiplied with 7? What is 7 multiplied with 9? And these were the things she was not knowing so easily. So her mood changed. And somehow I tried to encourage her and said, wow, that's okay, we will learn it. But I continued with my approach. And after, again, a couple of rounds, what I noticed was something like that. And she even expressed it, I will never learn math. That was a kind of wake-up call for myself. Hey, I'm a change agent. I know the strengths about appreciation. I know the strengths about growth mindset. And here I try to help my daughter, and what I create a mindset which is around limitation. So I told her, let's have a break. So I reflected, what was I doing? I noticed that inside of her there was a lot of stress. And from brain science we know that if you put people under pressure, you create stress. And if stress is there, the brain is triggering something what is called fight, flight, or freeze mode. And in that mode, no learning will happen. That's for sure. No creativity will happen, no innovation. But brain science also says that if we put somebody in a good learning environment, then these new experiences change the brain, the neuron connections in the brain, and learning happen. So I started rethinking my approach. I created a flip chart and put all the possible numbers on it, from 1 to 10. And then when she was coming back, I started, okay, how much is 1 multiplied with 1, 1 multiplied with 2, and 3? And she knew that. And I continued with that, with all the 1s. And I assumed all the 10s she would knew. And we continued with that. And suddenly she knew much more. And her spirit lighted up. And after a next round, we realized that she knew 85%, or I realized that. And there were only 15 things she did not know. And she was more than happy when she realized that. So I asked her, why don't you go upstairs and learn these 15 numbers? I know that you know how to memorize things. She went up, and after 20 minutes she came back and she knew all. The next day when she was coming back from school, she was more than proud about herself. She knew everything. And now, after 7 years, she is one of the best in her class in mathematics. So, why don't you take a moment and reflect about your own approaches to change? How much do you focus on things which are not working well? And how much do you allow the mindset to be the base which is around appreciation? Because that is the moment when a growth mindset is created. Thank you very much for your attention. Bye-bye.